Hey, ladies and gentlemen, now y'all gotta forgive me sitting in with no lights on. Didn't feel like making this no big production. But they got done coaching a couple clients and getting ready to coach a third before I head out to the football game tonight. And I shot a video when I was driving home from the airport today, but it was too short and I was moving around and I was driving the Sprinter too, so wanted to pop on here and touch on this because my wife, who is kind of like my producer, my YouTube producer, she sent me a video of a lady. I guess she read about the lawsuit with TD Jakes, where I don't know if it's a lawsuit. I think he's been accused of his ex-son-in-law of sexual assault and doing different things and taking them across state lines. And this young man is in prison, I believe, or jail or prison in Texas. For those of y'all who didn't know, jail is 12 months or less, and then prison, sometimes it can be more than 12 months. You can be in jail, but prison is when you get sentenced to a year and a day or more. But I believe he's in prison for touching on kids. And now he throwing TD Jakes under the bus. I don't know if his commissary stopped getting filled up or he just got in there and got fed up with it. Or if his ex-wife, Cora Jakes, stopped sending him money or what. But he making accusations. It was another man who also did time for touching on kids, made an accusation against TD Jakes. And I think he filed a lawsuit. That man is an older gentleman. This other guy, Cora's ex, he looks like a younger gentleman. And it's just very unfortunate. Very unfortunate that TD Jakes going through this and that his name is in this. To me personally, it seems like there's some kind of, might not be all the way, but it seems like there's some truth to it, because with TD, getting up in the pulpit saying all he got to do is repent if he did do it. I just would not say that if I wasn't even guilty of being a power bottom at P. Diddy parties. And so, in addition to being accused of being a power bottom, then he also have, I believe, 2 gay stepsons from his wife. And then, in addition to having 2 gay stepsons, now it sounds like he got a pedophilia ex-son-in-law. And so just got a lot going on. And just to have that, all of that in one circle, to have an ex-son-in-law who in prison for touching on kids, to have another man that, the man said TD Jakes was coming in town. This years ago, was coming in town to preach, and his mom, the man mama, had him be TD Jakes' host, and that he picked him up, took him over to their house to eat and meet, and was getting ready to go. He basically said TD Jakes shot his shot at him and tried, I don't know, get him to come over to the hotel or something like that. Probably sensed it on his spirit, if it's true. Probably sensed it on his spirit. I do, and I'm careful when I say this because I be tending to believe certain things, or at least a good portion of it. But I have to be careful with that, because if it's a lie, one day somebody could lie on me, and then I want the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, what makes me kind of tend to believe it is I be thinking like this: if these people lying, then why not lie on everybody? Why isn't everybody, like TD Jakes ain't the only pastor with money? So why hasn't somebody levied the same allegations against Joe Osteen? The same allegations against Creflo Dollar? The same allegations against every pastor with 3,500 or more members? The brother in Atlanta, I believe, he showed his church. I'm thinking that was his church, Darius Daniels, at I think it's Change Church. Why haven't somebody levied those allegations against him? So my thing is, if it's just all lies, then I would imagine the devil would be lying on more than just one person. Because it's not like T.D. Jakes the only one that bring forth the word. And, you know, for the longest, the word really ain't been where it need to be. And then it's just a lot going on, you know, to have his other daughter married to a man who is spiritually still married to his ex-wife. And like I get like normal Christians, like when I say normal, I mean Christians without the cloth, who don't got to stand up in the pulpit. I get it when Christians who are in the pews as sick and in need of help, when they go against the Holy Bible, when it relates to marriage and things of that nature, like, okay, boom, I get that. But now when you take and you go against the Bible and you a pastor, now that's a little different there now. You take and you go against the Bible and you get a divorce and you a pastor, I'm like, hold on now. I don't know. Now you need to sit down. You need to be in the pool, in the pews. And so for T.D. Jakes to have all that going on, for one, it's so sad. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And it's upsetting that the church is going through this, because now all the atheists, all the people, all these, they like, oh, see there, I told you, I tried to tell y'all about these church folk. I tried to tell y'all. So now we got to hear all of that. But one of the things also that I thought about, I say, I know every man struggles in one way or another. And I believe every man is either going to be money or it's going to be women. Or not even women, money or sexual immorality. It's going to be one or the other. Some men struggle in both. And I thank God that for me, mine is in money, meaning like just learning, giving away too much money, always doing the most, taking care of the whole world, and to the point that it hurt, which God don't want us to go to that point. I don't believe. And just learning, and that's why I became a financial professional. Like I'm on the pursuit to know everything I need to know, get this all the way right, doing a whole lot right, but I always could do more. And I thank God that I'm not dealing with sexual immorality, because that right there, because that's at the end of the day, it's like you would go to hell for that. Now you would go to hell for embezzlement and stuff like that, embezzling from the church, but you ain't going to hell for misspending. You ain't going to hell for that now, because that's not a sin. Now worshiping money, putting money before God, idolizing money, that's a sin. But if you out here and you sexually immoral, the Bible talk about that now. God hates that. God hates that. And he don't like for us to be, servant to the lender either, but that's not a sin. And so we got to pray for the brother T.D. Jakes, because this right here, it will move you a lot closer to your grave a lot faster. That stress, all that cortisol being released. I know he is going through a lot. I pray he's not like hurting himself drinking too much or stuff like that. But just to be going through what he's going through, the theatrics in up there on the pulpit where he kind of had like the little heart attack or whatever that was, stroke. To me, it did not look real. I wish it did look real. It looked like some acting was going on, but just in the midst of a few acting classes. with Tasha Smith or whoever out there in LA. It just didn't. I wasn't sold on it. I wasn't sold on it. I ain't got nothing against the brother. I just wasn't sold on it. It just seemed a little performative, a little theatrical to go ahead and have a real excuse, a real reason to pass the torch to his daughter, who was in that marriage, with a man who was married with 3 kids when he met TD Jake's daughter. And so it's just so much going on. It's about to make me watch the show Greenleaf. I think that's what y'all say it's called. I don't know if it's on, because I heard people saying that that's based on TD Jakes now. That like it's loosely based on TD Jakes' church, without as quiet as it's kept. I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna watch it. I'm pretty sure it's not too far from home from any mega church type of situation. I'm gonna watch it and see, but we got to pray a little more. Pray for the pastors out there. Pray for not only their strength and wisdom and discernment, but pray for them that they don't, in the midst of spiritual warfare and in their battles, that they don't lose it, that they don't get to a point of no return. And hope everything work out for them and they figure it out, and pray for the rest of us, that God keep us on the straight and narrow, keep us doing the right thing, because I feel like anybody could fall. You get too far away from God. That's one thing. Y'all got to give him a hat to yawn. I'm a little tired over here. I was with the boys program yesterday. Had to take one of the boys to a prep school. And shout out, God bless y'all for the support. Link is in the description. The Lord been good to you. And one of the things is taking and having, oh man, I forgot I got to transfer another ticket for the game tonight. I feel like when you have a lot of money, you pray less. That's why the Bible says it's easier for the camel to fit through the eye of the needle, the eye of the needle entering the city, than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Because money becomes your God. Money answers all your problems. So it's like a lot of times when we praying to God, we praying for help. We praying for something. When you got enough money to buy anything, do anything, take care of anything you want to take care of, it's like your prayers got to be different. Your prayers are going to be about gratitude and thanks and getting closer to God, praying for wisdom, things of that nature, discernment, discretion. And then when you think that you deep and you think you got it all and you think you understand it all, then you ain't praying for those things no more. And that's the thing. It's like the devil, it was a point where I would listen to TD Jakes. I never really listened to him because I don't want to carry the message subconsciously of another speaker and another teacher. So I would just mind my business. And I do recall I spoke at his Mega Fest, and the lady who was like kind of organizing it, she came up to me and she was like, "You the first person to pack out a breakout room." Like, I'm guessing enough people knew who you were, or perfect timing or something, but your breakout room was completely full. She said, "I'm gonna tell Bishop about this, and I'm gonna show him the tape." She said he sits in the back, he watches all the presentations anyways. And not long after that, about a year later, a book came out. He wrote a book called Instincts, and it was based on just your natural abilities. And that was it was like verbatim the speech that I gave at MegaFest. And I kind of got into it with one of his right-hand men, because for some reason they reached out to me. The guy was doing a podcast and interviewing people about how the book touched their life. And he reached out to me, and I told him, I don't read books, send me the audiobook. And he sent me the audiobook, and it was like a CD, and I put it in and I'm listening to it. And I listened to the first chapter, and I'm like, man, I teach on this very exact same thing. But at that time, it was like, I was young. And TD Jakes was probably like in his 50s at the time. And I called a guy, and I was like, I can't honestly come on and say that this book touched me or did something for me, because I wrote a book on this exact thing called CEO of Me, and I gave a speech on this exact topic almost verbatim at MegaFest. And so, and then now this comes out, and I say this is a foundational message. Like, I don't think this is a message that God gives someone in their 50s. Like, this is how we find our way. Like, this is something you get in your 20s, just like God gave it to me in my 20s. So I'm like, this would imply that I'm far more wise than T.D. Jakes if he is writing what I wrote in my early 20s, if he's producing this in his 50s. I'm like, and that just don't add up to me. And the guy got mad. He was like, hold on now, Brother Tony. Now, are you trying to say that Bishop copied you? I say, that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying is, I came to MegaFest and I gave this exact message. And I was never brought, like all the other speakers, I was never brought to meet the bishop. And he not God now. So I was never brought to meet him. And then not long after, my exact message, what I talked about, are natural gifts that we born with, that is in our DNA, that we got the blueprint for. That's why I called it CEO of Me. That was the name of my talk. He published a book called Instincts. I'm like, it's just too similar. I'm gonna have to talk to Bishop about this. Oh, well, brother, you know what? It was good talking to you. I'm gonna let you go. But that's how the game goes. It's like, so when that right there happened, I done had my eye turned up since then. I say, because it's just too coincidental. Now, yeah, they say great minds think alike, but not 20 years old and 50 some years old, 50 years old. Like, and all them minds ain't on the same level then. You can't call both of them great. If what somebody getting at 20, somebody else don't get till 50. I'm like, this is a foundational message. Like, this is what he would have wrote. His first book would have been on this. If God gave him this. And I'm speaking as an entrepreneur. You know, T.D. Jakes is not an entrepreneur. He's a pastor. And then invested in other things like movies and different stuff. But I'm an entrepreneur through and through. That's all I do. I'm not a pastor. So the message came from about using your natural God-given gifts to earn a living. And basically purpose-based profit. And profit meaning earnings, not profit like profit. Like, so that right there, and that was interesting. And I just was like, I was looking and I'm like, every single pastor, I remember saying to myself, I'm like, every pastor has something on them. Like some type of testimony, something they've overcome, something they've come from. I said, but I don't know, like, what is T.D. Jakes' testimony? Like, what embattlement? Like, what's his Saul story before becoming Paul? Like, what's his Moses story before setting the captives free? Like, what's his story? And I just couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, he don't look like a cheater. Like, he don't look like somebody that's sleeping with other women. Like, he doesn't seem like even what women would desire. And I just, and I remember saying to myself, I'm like, I hope it ain't men. And I kind of was feeling, I was like, if he had to fall in one of those areas, I said to myself, I feel like it'll be a man before it'll be a woman with him. It just didn't give me that energy because, you know, I was a womanizer. So I just could read a guy and tell who got that in them. And I just could not pick it up at all on the brother. And then all of this right here comes out. And I'm like, please don't let it be. Like, please say it ain't so. And it just goes to show you how, if it is true, it go to show you, and this is crazy, because the false prophet, Brian Carn, I was somewhere at a church service with my mama when I was young, and he was ministering, Brian Carn, and he said, you could be fired by God. Like God could have fired you and you still anointed. Like or something he was saying, like you still could preach. And he said, Lord, please don't let me be fired and not know it. And he was talking about himself. And I met him one time, talked to him. I can't remember, it was online or whatever, about around the same time I met Jamal Bryant. And that was because it was a fake, somebody had a fake TD Jakes account and they shouted out me and this other guy named Steve White. So it could have been Steve White running the page, because there's no reason why he would have got shouted out. But people, that was before TD Jakes got on Twitter, so people thought that it was TD Jakes' real account. And then when TD Jakes later got on, he later said, I've never been on Twitter, I've never tweeted anything, so anything that was tweeted, that was not from me. But by that time, it was too late. All of the giants in the church space had started following me on Twitter. And so that was crazy. Like people was reaching out to me, inviting me to their church. I mean, I'm in the service. They then taking me back to their office. Like they wanted to connect. Like they really thought that was TD Jakes stamping me. And I was blowed because it had a bunch of followers. Everybody followed it. And I think it was probably, I don't know who it was running the page, but that really broke me into that church scene. And it's crazy how that works. And I just felt something. I just felt something. I'm like, we all got something. We all, like the testimony, I'm not hearing like God take murderers and turn them into servants for him. So I just was like, okay, coming from poverty or coming from middle of nowhere, West Virginia, no, that ain't enough. Like what are you struggling with? Like what are you battling? What demon did God have to slay or continuously slaying for you to have this anointing, for you to be in this position? And I was always just curious about that, because I knew mine, being a womanizer, being a thief, being a drug dealer, having gone through all of that. And so I was always wondering, what is TD Jakes' darkness? Like what's in his closet? No pun intended. And so to hear all of this, I'm like, Lord, I could believe it, but I'm praying it ain't true. Like I'm hoping it ain't true, because you just don't want to wrap your head around nothing like that. And just being a man and being a heterosexual man, you just kind of wish that if it is true, you wish it'd be about a woman of age. Like you could kind of understand that a little better, even though it's still wrong. It's like because of David and Solomon, it's like you can kind of wrap your hand around it. But underage boys or men and stuff like that, or all them kind of allegations, is like, no, you don't want to hear that. And everybody have to have some type of struggle that the devil gonna test them with, that God has to deliver us from. And I'm just like, Lord, thank you. Thank you, Lord, that my struggle is not men. Lord, thank you. Lord, I rejoice. I am so thankful you ain't pick me for that, Lord. Woo! You hear me? Tell you that, yeah. Lord, my goodness, you've been good. And so I'm just like, this right here, this a black eye. Now see, and I'm not ready. Like I'm not ready. One day the Lord might call me to the pulpit to replace the TD Jakes of the world and have the largest church in the country and preaching Bible without skits, not doing none of what Mike Todd doing, without skits, without feminism. And I want y'all to understand this, the femininity. Because, even how when TD Jakes had that stomach hanging out on the stage doing the little dance to the little music, and people was like, let that man dance, let that man live his life. It just was like, yeah, I'm less worried about the dance and just how it looked a little feminine. I'm less worried about that outfit too. And then somebody went to dressing them like a zaddy. And I don't know who did that. That probably was Sarah Jake's idea. he went to wearing skinny jeans. I don't know if it was the Diddy parties that got him into it or what. And so it's like when you look at the mega pastors, they in battle with sexual immorality or money immorality. And then because even like with Mike Todd, how he blew up, and it's just very, very feminine. He's just really, really feminine. And it's just you watching it and you just feel like you watching a gay man. You know, somebody who was raised by a single mom with 4 sisters. And and I don't know if that's his story, but it looked like he definitely didn't have a heterosexual brother in the house or a strong masculine father in the house. He's just not giving off that type of thing. And then the people who really have some of that, they really don't get that big. And so for me, it just kind of make me wonder. I'm like, what's going on? What is going on out here? Like this is getting out of hand. And I'm like, Lord, you know, clean me up, Lord. Help me get all my affairs in order. Help me, Lord. Get all my businesses, everything, business going good to where if you call me in the ministry, I ain't got to be dependent upon tithes and offering. I ain't got to be like, let me conquer everything. That all the demons that got to be slayed, let them be slayed. And because I do not want to struggle in the areas these folks struggling in. And it's just everybody got something, but I see something happening. It's something, there's a moving in the spiritual realm. Like room is being made. Those who not living right, doing the right thing, their name is being knocked down. They being marked and labeled and rendered powerless in the kingdom. And there's like a parting of the Red Sea to where God finna send his truly called servants into that land. And the pathway is being made clear and the doors being open, and it's a shift happening. It is a shift that's happening. And it's getting real. And the church and everything of it is getting more and more watered down. And I feel like God finna raise up some folks to where it's just, God finna raise up some folks to where I don't think it's gonna be many. And it might end up being 1, 2. I just don't think it's getting too real out here. It's getting too real out here. And then even the people who work for the devil, like the Umar Johnson, even they getting exposed. It's like God is exposing them because they are deceiving and misleading people. So God shutting them down. So the people who claim to work for God getting shut down, and the people who openly work for Satan is getting shut down. And there's about to be some elevation. And it ain't gonna be no self-proclaimed elevation. So you ain't gonna hear me say I'm the one that God is calling to do the talking. I'm gonna just say what God put on my spirit, the revelations he give me, and let it do the work that he authorizes it to do. And so you're gonna be hearing some prophetess and prophets saying that they the one who God done called, like the other man, David Taylor, who just went down, who made like he was the one that God called, and this man did over $50 million in donation, got over $50 million in donation, and turned out to be fraudster with that illegal forced labor. So it's getting real out here. So you better start praying a little harder now, and be watchful, be mindful, pay attention, because you're gonna see, you're gonna be shown who is really of God and who isn't. And it's like we feel it in our spirit, and sometimes we ignore it because it's just not popular. We don't want to be labeled a hater and all it is. And so we see it and we sense it, and we just shut up because we don't want to hear nobody mouth. But it's getting real, and it's about to start we about to have to start sounding the trumpets. But hey, this Tony Gaskins, all the important links in the description. God bless you. Keep your head on straight. Keep going. Thank you for the support. We'll talk soon.